Micro weddings have almost become the new normal size for a wedding during the pandemic. How has the wedding industry been impacted by COVID-19?
Well, it came to almost a complete halt at the end of March in 2020 when everything was locked down. And there were so many people that had plans already in place for weddings from April through the fall of last year, and they had to cancel them. So I think that we had a huge backlog of weddings, people that were kind of procrastinating or delaying their plans until they were able to have a group of family and friends together. So we've seen as things open up, the backlog is starting to loosen, and whether people were planning a larger event, having to reduce it in order to meet with the restrictions that venues were allowed to have. I think that's also been something that's been driving this micro wedding wave that we're seeing in Waterloo Region and probably across the country.
After Hacienda Seria closed last year, leaving many couples without deposits and a place to get married, what venues are still out there for someone to hold a ceremony?
Well, I guess it depends if you're going to be outside or inside. I mean, generally, I would say that most people in Canada plan something outside with an inside option just in case the weather doesn't cooperate. But, from January through now, people have really had to be outside because the restrictions didn't allow weddings inside. So any of the parks areas have been a great venue for people, sometimes people's backyards. But for inside, there's lots of places. And some places that you wouldn't traditionally think of for a wedding, like the museum, for example, in downtown Kitchener. The Waterloo Region Museum in Kitchener also is a great spot. Forefathers Brewing is one in Hespeler Village that we've heard is because it's got that kind of industrial chic, people are looking to that as a great place that's got space to do up to 175 people. And then one that maybe some people wouldn't think of, but has been a very popular spot for weddings is the Cambridge Butterfly Conservatory. Like, what a lovely place to be in kind of a tropical atmosphere with birds and butterflies, tropical plants to say your vows.
What is the benefit of holding a wedding at a unique venue like these, like at the museum or the Cambridge Butterfly Conservatory?
Well, I think that wherever you hold it, you want something that is going to capture people's imagination and help them remember a very special day. Because for the bride and groom, this is one of the big milestones, in their lives. So also someplace that is a great place for photography, because you want to have, those wedding photographers like to have a nice background. So a couple of the other places that are traditionally very busy with weddings and have been even more so this year are the Cambridge Mill and Langdon Hall. They've got beautiful gardens or a beautiful view, like the other places that I mentioned, where you can take family shots or shots of the bride and groom.
When you have weddings, people come from all over the world, the country, or even just the region, but they come to Kitchener, they come to Cambridge, and they stay in hotels. How has that impacted our industry?
Oh, it's fantastic, because it's something that was one of the first things to come back versus, corporate meetings and conferences, which is going to take a little bit longer to bounce back. But weddings, a family affair, brings a group of people into town. Generally, they'll stay for a couple of days, so they'll be staying in a hotel. And with COVID, people are more likely to stay in a hotel, I think, than crowding into a relative's home. So they're taking in some activities and attractions while they're here too, hopefully shopping for the wedding gift while they're here. It's been a tremendous boom for us.
After a wedding, there is, of course, the honeymoon, and international travel is still a little risky. What would you recommend for a honeymoon staycation?
Well, I guess it depends on what you like to do. If you like luxury, I would suggest one of our local hotels, like the Langdon Hall or the Walper, would be a lovely Putticombe House. I mean, there's some lovely places to stay and enjoy a short stay or even a longer stay. There's camping. You go camping at Bingham's. They've got some beautiful spots to camp right along the Grand River, and kind of everything in between. There's lots of things to do. You go canoeing or kayaking on the Grand River, make a couple of days trip of it. You could go cycling with your honey and make a couple of days of that and go from inn to inn. I think that we've got some great options for spending a lot of time in Waterloo Region when you're celebrating.
Where can someone go to research some wedding venues in the Waterloo region?
They can go to our website, explorewaterlooregion.com. We've got some ideas for venues there, and they, so they'll see pictures and also a list of places where they could hold a wedding.
Great. Thank you very much for chatting with me about this.
Always a pleasure to speak with you, Robert.